Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, everybody. I wanted to start the podcast like that, Mark, because I'm starting to look like Santa Claus without the beard. So I thought it'd be appropriate. Just want to wish everybody a happy holiday. I'm here in chilly Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and Mark is basking in the sunlight in North Myrtle Beach. And I got to tell you, Mark, I love these people that say they prefer winter to summer. And I think it's all BS because
I
everybody I
don't.
talk to wants to get out of here, right? Nobody wants to get out of here in June or July, but they all want to get out of here in December and January. So those people kind of rub me the wrong way.
Well, I always answer that by saying I know a lot of people like myself who grew up in the Northeast and retired and moved south. I don't
Yeah.
know anybody that grew up in the South that retired and moved to the Northeast.
Listen, I could see in the dead of July if you want to go to Maine
Yeah,
for a couple
sure.
weeks and cool off, but let's stop the winter. Better than this stuff. Anyway, we've got a great show for you today. We got a really special guest, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Eagles win, but mostly about the future, what the Eagles should do in the coming weeks. And of course, you know they won the NFC East yesterday with their win over Washington, and we've got a lot of breakdown. Really looking forward to chatting with one of the most visible members of the Philadelphia media for football right now. So, having said that, let me thank a couple sponsors. First of all, this podcast is being produced by Sweet Recording Studios. Joe Gangemi can do a podcast for you. He can even build you a studio. If you're interested in starting your own podcast, contact Joe at sweetrecording.com. Chris Wilhelm of Citywide Mortgage. Chris has mortgages to fit all of your financial needs. Chris can be contacted at 609 234 4304. That's Chris Wilhelm with Citywide Mortgage. Tony DiGirolamo of DiGirolamo Financial, Insurance and Investments. He's a one-stop shop for all your financial needs. Tony's a great guy, and his phone number is 609 541 7515. Tony D at DiGirolamo Financial. And Kelly at Adjust Your Sleep Mattress Boutique in Marlton, New Jersey. I've been in this showroom. They have mattresses that will fit all of your needs, I promise you. And Kelly can be contacted at 856 357 3640. And finally, Jersey Man Magazine, our big holiday party is tonight. I told you to sign up, Mark. It is sold out. But if you
Wow.
want to jump on a plane from Myrtle
All
Beach
right.
down, I will make room for you. So
All right.
thanks, everybody, for supporting Jersey Man, and we look forward to a great 2026. Okay, we're going to bring on our guest right now. This is Barrett Brooks. He was a second-round draft choice at Kansas State. Of course, he played for the Eagles in the 90s. He won a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos and is one of the most visible guys on television doing the pregame and postgame with Michael Barkan and that crew. Barrett, welcome to the Bird Brains with Ken and Mark. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Appreciate you guys having me on. I really do.
Listen, Mark, you know I love Barrett because it wasn't his fault. But I used to do all the East Coast ESPN college football games, right? And the guy that hired me got fired, and the new guy hired Barrett over me, which tells me he's a rare judge of talent because this new guy picked the right guy. So you know I really like Barrett because he took my job. But anyway, Barrett, thanks for coming on. Hey,
I didn't know that, Kim. My fault, man. I'm my
no,
fault.
no,
I
no,
just
it's
don't do
not
it
your
anymore.
fault. It's his fault. It's his fault. And I would never
We should have
blame
put his together. That would have been
That's
good.
right. It would be a good tag team. I agree with you. So Barrett, before we get into breaking down the Eagles, tell me about why you relocated in Philly because you had a long history, played with several teams, and you won a Super Bowl in another city. What brought you back to Philadelphia?
I married a Philly girl. That's number one.
I'll
But
do
I
it.
think
I did the
Real
same
good.
thing. Good answer.
right. But I mean, I just love the location. It's right around the corner from everywhere. You know, you're an hour and a half from downtown Manhattan, hour and a half from Baltimore, 2 hours, 2.5 hours from DC. I go to the shore a lot, because I fish a lot. That's all I love to do. That's like my Achilles heel. It's if you want to, make sure Barrett Brooks isn't going to work, all you got to do is look for him in Cape May Bay. I'd be there. I have a boat I have a boat out there, so that's where I go spend the majority of my time.
Nice, nice. Well, that's a good reason to stay here. Let's talk a little bit about the Eagles, and of course, they've clinched the NFC East. And I got a kick out of watching the post game yesterday. You said you were going to keep it positive, and right away you started ragging on Jake Elliott, who keeps missing these field goals. But it's a valid criticism. And Mark, I want you to chime in on this too. But Barrett first, I'm a little concerned about, first of all, he's a Memphis guy. And I
Right.
went to Memphis, and the Memphis guys are supposed to perform better than that. But what do you think's going on there? I mean, he hasn't been right really for the last couple of years.
I started to say it was the yips. The yips don't last for a year and a half. I don't know. I mean, we get paid to do what we do out there on the field. He gets paid to kick. So I just think he needs to spend a little more time being great again. I know he gets a little leash because he's the one that really, for me, started the whole transition for this team, being a team back when, they won the first Super Bowl in 17 or 8, going into the 18 season. So my expectation is that he's a great kicker. 50 yards or more, he was almost automatic.
Mhm.
Well, now he's not. And if I gave up 3 sacks in a game, best believe they'd have somebody working out for me the next day. He's held to a higher standard also. If he's missed 3 kicks in a game, maybe they need to put a little heat on him and maybe bring in somebody to try to, get him going in the right direction, because that will definitely make you want to play better when somebody else is breathing down your neck and they're trying to replace you.
Couldn't agree with you more. Your performance is always much better when you feel you might be losing your job. Mark, I'm not
Right.
that concerned about, missing 57-yarders, but he's missing a lot of 42 and 43-yarders now. And in this game last week, he actually had a practice kick. He missed it, and I think, he's going to make the next one. He missed it again. So that concerns me.
Kickers they're a different breed. I mean, like Barrett said, that's their job. It's not like Barrett, you said if you allowed 3 sacks, which I don't think you ever did, but but you get to go back out the next play and make a great play. A kicker, he's out there, he either makes it or misses it, and he may or may not get another kiss the rest of the game. So you don't know. And they do, I think he's the great, and I love David Akers. David Akers had a great career for the Eagles. But I've said before, I think Elliott passed him as the best kicker I've ever seen with the Eagles. But all those big kicks that he made through the first Super Bowl season, and then even lately, now hopefully he can do what he did last year, because he had a rough year. He was pretty good in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't think he missed in the playoffs last year, right?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I'm looking forward
So
to.
maybe he's saving. Maybe he's getting all the misses out of the way, because it didn't matter, right? They didn't lose; they still won. So maybe he's getting his misses out. So when he counts for the play, but no, I don't. I mean, kickers, like I said, they're just. I think it's mental more than physical a lot of times.
Right.
He knows he can make a 43-yard field goal, but it gets in his. I believe this, Ken. We were joking a little bit before we started the show. I think Nick Sirianni, I don't buy this 18, 19 point thing. Come on. I think they went for 2 on the last touchdown because he didn't want to send Elliott back out there and have him miss an extra point, and that would really get in his head. So it's mental now, right? I think, when you start, it's like you Ken, I know you're a bigger golfer than I am, right? It's sometimes when you're hitting them bad, you're just hitting them bad, right?
Absolutely. You can be playing well, and all of a sudden you get to snap hooks. And the only way to get out of it is to get to the driving range and figure out what you're doing wrong. Now, there's a lot less pressure on me playing for a $5 Nassau with my buddies versus kicking in front of 65,000 people.
Sure.
But it's his job. It's something he gets paid well to do, and it's got to be corrected. Barrett, I never thought in my day that a few years ago when he got hurt and we brought in Cameron Dicker to kick for us, and he actually kicked a winning field goal against the Chargers, which may have helped him get a job with the Chargers, that Cameron Dicker's having a hell of a year. I never would have thought that I'd prefer Cameron Dicker to Jake Elliott, but right now I think I would.
Oh, yeah, he's having a great year.
You're absolutely right. But see, I understand what Coach is doing, and Mark, I was under the same impression. I didn't say it on the postgame show because I just want to leave it alone, because I was more concerned about the fact that we might not have our starting right guard if he gets suspended. But I mean, I really think that's the same thing. Also, I think that Coach didn't want to put him back on the field. He didn't want him the opportunity to miss again, which has me very, very concerned. This is a game of inches, and it's also a game of field goals, and we hadn't been scoring enough that we can just bypass a field goal. I think that game against the Chargers, we'd have won that game if we'd have kicked the field goal. So I think it's nerve-wracking for me as a fan, but as a player, number one, those guys are out there busting their butts, and to have an opportunity to win a game and we don't win it because we're missing kicks, and worried about missing kicks. That's tough on you as a coach. Number one, to coach your way out of that, but number two, trust the game and the rest of the season to a kick.
Yeah,
You don't have any confidence in them.
His psyche's damaged a little bit because his post-game interview, he was talking about, I got out there, I made a couple extra points. I go, boy, this guy's patting himself on the back for making extra points. No, I mean, that might be a problem. But along those lines, okay, we go for two, and whether it's Sirianni wanted to increase the lead or whether he, didn't want to mess with Jake Elliott, I guess Dan Quinn had a problem with that. And now he's saying, we'll see you guys in a couple. Well, what's that all about? I mean, first of all, he made one of the dumbest moves I've ever seen. He's down 2 scores midway through the fourth quarter. He's got the ball on about their 40 or 45-yard line with a fourth and fairly short, and he punched the ball. And I'm saying, dude, that the only chance you have of winning this game is to go for it there. And I don't know what he was doing. Barrett, were you as confused as I was when he decided to do that?
I really were. I was like, well, I'd have went for it. Even though, Davis was playing well, we didn't have the Kobe Dean in there. Dean's one of those guys that he could possibly stop the play, because since he was in the lineup, their run defense shot up and was, pretty good. But, just looking at it, I was like, well, I thought this was a great opportunity. He's been a gunslinger, thus far. When he played us last year, he was a gunslinger and going out and doing that. So for him not to go out and at least go for it, I was really surprised, very, very surprised, actually.
What'd you think, Mark?
I'm with both of you. He gave up at that point. I'm thinking, all right, it's a team that's had a terrible season after a surprisingly good season last year. They're down to their third string quarterback. I'm thinking he just wants to get out of there. And he was a Saturday night. Let's go. He had plans. Saturday night plans he wanted to get to. You know what I'm saying? It was tough. But then he gets all upset when they go. But was that a threat?
Well, it was a threat. It was a Buddy Ryan type of a threat after the game. And what's he doing? Who cares? Who cares what they do in 2 weeks? We're going to smash them again anyway, even with our backup players. So
is he going to go at? The league has to look into this now. If there's a late hit or somebody goes after somebody's knee, I don't know. I've never heard of even Buddy. Buddy would say things and you didn't know if he was serious or not. He was serious. He was joking. He did it in fun sometimes. That wasn't fun. He wasn't laughing. He wasn't smiling. He said, "Well, that's all good."
Mark, he felt disrespected. That's an unwritten rule. You don't pile on. And I don't think he was trying to pile on. I really think he didn't want his kicker out there again, number one. But then they started talking about the metrics and how if we want to be up 3 scores and all that. We weren't trying to hear all that. You just didn't want your kicker out there, so you didn't do it. Instead of just saying that, you want to go out there and go for 2. And he took offense to it, and his players took offense to it. So, but that's fine, though. That's fine. At the end of the day, we play football, so we'll prove it again in 2 weeks. Don't write checks that your butt can't cash.
There you go.
We're up 3. Against him as a coach, we're up what? We're 3-1. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes in 2 weeks.
It was a weekend where games can turn on a dime, and I don't blame Sirianni for going for 2. Look at the Chicago Green Bay game, how that game turned. Pittsburgh and Detroit yesterday, Seattle and the Rams a few days ago. They're really in the NFL. No lead is safe, and if you're going to get your feathers ruffled by a coach going for 2 late in the game, I just think it's kind of a silly deal. But
if I'm Sirianni, when I play in 2 weeks, if I score first, I'm going for 2.
Go for 2, yeah.
Just to say, I'm going for 2 again. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, you got a little Buddy Ryan.
That's where I grew up. Buddy was my first coach I covered, so everything I learned from Buddy.
So, Bear, let's talk about the Eagles have won the NFC East. They're most likely going to be the number 3 seed. As you look at the playoffs right now, Green Bay, Seattle would get the bye. Green Bay would play at Chicago, San Francisco at Philly, which I think is probably the best possible matchup, and the Rams would be at Carolina. You've got 2 weeks to go. You're playing Buffalo this week, and what do you do now? Do you bring back Lane Johnson? Do you bring back Jalen Carter? Do you rest these guys? Do you get ready for the playoffs? Does a number 2 seed mean more than the rest and the risk of injury? Barrett, what do you think the Eagles are going to do?
I don't think you play scared. And I think Lane needs to get a couple reps before he
Needs
goes
some
into
reps. I agree. He needs some action. Yeah.
Yeah, he needs some action. Carter, I just want momentum going into the playoffs, and we don't have a team that's good enough right now to be able to go in and rest guys, because you want to hit the ground running in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember, I didn't like when we my last years I was with Steelers. I won a Super Bowl with the Steelers, and that year before, it's supposed to be an all Pennsylvania Super Bowl. It was supposed to be us and the Eagles, and we ended up losing to New England. And I really feel as though that week we had off, we came back again. We played terribly, but we still won the game. Went into the championship game. We lost to, eventually the Super Bowl champion Patriots. But I was just thinking to myself, if we'd have had the momentum, I think it'd have been the easier way to go. And that's exactly what the next year we had the momentum going into. We came in at the last seed. We battled, 3 away games and ended up going to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. I think the Eagles need that type of momentum also going into the playoffs. I really think they need to keep things going, keep stacking these wins so they're prepared, because they didn't have an identity up until 2 weeks ago for me. Well, the identity they had, I didn't like it, but I like the identity they have now, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So I want that same momentum. I want that same, drive going into the playoffs. I'm not worried about them getting hurt. They take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. I want the momentum. I want them going out and being tough, and not worried about the injuries. So that's just my say so. That's my thoughts of it, But hey, Nick has his ways, and he does things a lot different than the way I used to do things.
Hey, Barrett, you're old school, and I love it. But Mark, if you look at last year, for example, Detroit had a nice rest going into the playoffs. #1 seed, they got bounced. Yep. In their first game against Green Bay. So and especially for a guy like Lane Johnson, that's a tricky situation because Liz Frank is very fragile. I might sit him out this week and then give him some live reps the next week because, as game speed is really hard to replicate. And if you're not used to it, it takes a while to get back in the flow, Mark. So what are your thoughts on that?
I would do a little bit of both, like you said. I mean, they have 2 games, right? They got the Bills and the Washington again. I'm with Barrett in that you don't want to be rusty. You don't want to sit everybody. Although Andy Reid did. I mean, that's one thing that Andy, during the Eagles playoff runs then, when they clinched things, if they had the #1 seed wrapped up, or if they were locked into 2 or into whatever it was, he gave guys off. He said, "That's it. I'm not risking anything." And the backups played. Although I think Donovan would start just because he had a streak or something, so they would start him and then get him out after a series or 2. So I might do a little bit like let's say the Bills this week. I'm going to play anybody that can play. I mean, if you're not healthy, certainly you're not playing. But I'd see how Carter is and how Lane is. If they're healthy, play them. But maybe second half, okay. Let's get a rest. Almost treat it like you used to treat preseason games. Like now,
Barrett, what about
preseason? But
Barrett, what about guys?
What's that?
Go ahead.
No, I was saying let them play a little bit to keep that freshness, but then get him out in the second half and let Tanner McKee. Why not? Let's see what Tanner.
Oh yeah,
McKee
absolutely.
What live bullets? Let's get. Hey, Tank Bigsby is pretty good.
Yeah,
let's get him out there
I like overwork myself, right?
I don't need to overwork Saquon. Give him a little rest. Get Bigsby out there. Maybe dress AJ Dillon, who hasn't played since September. I don't think.
Barrett, what about guys like Dickerson and Juergens, guys that are nicked up? Obviously, I think their performance is suffering a little bit because of the injuries. What do you do with guys like that?
To be honest with you, I really would play, guys along the offensive line. I mean, like a guy like Dickerson. Dickerson he's held together right now with, shoestrings, bubble gum, and duct tape, and Juergens hasn't played to the level I saw him at last year either. And I think it has a lot to do with his back and him not being able to move and the way, he used to. Even if you watch the tush push and they ran it, and the reason why it wasn't successful because he didn't torpedo himself into the line of scrimmage. He didn't get that leverage to go up underneath it. If you watch him, he's going up top. Why are you going up top? That's not the way to play. It's designed. That's not how Kelsey did it. And Kelsey did it for years. He had the submarine block. You have to get down there and bear crawl, and he's not doing it, which is allowing that play to suffer a lot. It's not our number one play because he just isn't running it right, because I think it's just because the injury that he has, and he's hurting from it, and he just doesn't want to hurt his body anymore. So he's not approaching it the same way he used to. And that's a major cause on why the play is not working for us.
I agree with that. Mark, you've gone from a play that was virtually unstoppable to one that has less of a chance of succeeding than a normal quarterback sneak, which to me is unbelievable. And it has to be with the blocking. And because I think McNabb is still doing the same thing. He's strong. He's got the strong legs. He can get there, but the blocking up front just isn't helping that play at all.
No, it's I'm with Barrett. Yeah, I mean, you could see the difference up front, and I think, and let's give, teams have been studying that play now too forever and ever and ever. So I think defenses are a little bit better than they were at first. Nobody knew what the hell it was. What the hell are you doing here? And so they gained all the time. Then they got, teams got more film on, watched it more, practiced again. If you're playing the Eagles that week, you better practice against it, right? You'd be stupid not to. So,
well, you look, all the other teams are running it better than us.
Exactly. Yeah, that's another thing. Teams are running it now, and with the same success, if not more. Yeah. So
let's look at the upcoming playoffs. We talked about the NFC, the AFC. If it ended right now, Denver, believe it or not, even though they lost to Jacksonville, would be the number one seed in the AFC. Houston would be at New England, Buffalo at Jacksonville, and the Chargers at Pittsburgh. Those are all great matchups. Barrett, if you had to choose one team from the NFC and the AFC to meet in the Super Bowl right now, who do you think it would be?
In all actuality, from what I saw last night, and I'm of course I'm a homer. I'm gonna go with the Eagles, representing NFC, but I really would put the Patriots at in the Super Bowl round. Drake May is having a phenomenal season. He's playing at the MVP level, and regardless, that Patriots team is tough. They're really tough. They're well disciplined, and I think that's a major reason why they're doing as good as they're doing. The discipline that they have, they don't make a lot of mistakes, and they play hard. And I think the Patriots team will beat the Chargers. I think they'll also beat the Broncos. So to me, that Patriots team probably would represent the NFL, the AFC rather, in the Super Bowl.
Mark, you're looking at a wide open chase for the Super Bowl. This Super Bowl will be without Patrick Mahomes, Burrow, and probably Lamar Jackson now. So what two teams do you like?
I like, who I like in the AFC a lot? The Buffalo Bills. They got their nemesis out of the way. The only team they couldn't beat, they'd have gone to 5-6 Super Bowls if they didn't have to play Patrick Mahomes all the time. But they didn't have to worry about him no more. He's gone. Yep. So this is Josh Allen's turn. If the Bills don't, this is the Bills' chance. Mahomes isn't in the way. Andy Reid's not in the way. I know New England's good. I do. But the Bills just beat them a couple weeks ago. Came from behind and beat them. I love Drake May. I really like Mike Vrabel. I thought that was great. You know what Tennessee's record is since they fired Mike Vrabel? Well, they won yesterday finally, right? Tennessee beat Kansas City 5-28. Probably wasn't a good idea to fire him.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I do like, but I don't know. See, playoffs are different, and you guys know better than I because you both played in playoffs. Playoffs are a little different regular season. Drake May's had an MVP season, no doubt about it. If I still had to vote for that, I'd probably vote for him. But this will be his first playoff test.
It is. It is.
The Bills have been there. They've been through this. They're the most experienced. Another team I like a little bit, and I'm a little biased because I really like their head coach too, is Houston.
Mm-hmm.
That defense is for real.
Yeah, they are.
CJ Stroud.
Well, they might play each other in the first round of the playoffs.
That would be hell of a thing.
That could be a dilemma.
But I like the Bills in the NFC. NFC, I think the Eagles could get back. It's hard to get back, but if they keep the momentum going, if they can get the offense back on track to where it was. But the Rams, even though the Rams lost the other night to Seattle, I still think they're the team I'm the most afraid of. I know Seattle's got the top seed right now, but I'd rather play Sam Darnold than Matthew Stafford.
My opinion is I don't think first of all the Eagles could win the Super Bowl again.
Sure.
They've got a great defense, and if you can run the football and play good defense, you can win a Super Bowl. My personal opinion is they haven't been as consistent as they need to be on the offensive side to win it again. My personal choice in the NFC is I think the Rams are the best team. I think they're the most complete team. They've got a great quarterback. They've got a great defense. I went to bed at halftime of that Rams-Seattle game, and I really expected to wake up and see the Rams win that game by about 21 points. I couldn't believe my eyes when I woke up
That
and
was
saw
great.
that. And as far as the AFC is concerned, I'm kind of with you. You know, these teams like Denver and Chicago and New England, they haven't really been there enough.
Yep.
And it does make a difference. So I think my personal pick is either Buffalo or, believe it or not, I think Jacksonville is a complete team. They won going away at Denver, which is a really tough place to do it, Barrett. You know, you played there. I played in Denver. That air, man, it's thin up there. It's a different animal. So
yeah, it is.
You know, I mean, tell people about that because people don't believe it. It's the only time in my life I ever had to use the oxygen tank, and that was when I was playing in Denver.
I was in camp there, and I promise you guys, my first week there, I couldn't breathe at all. You know, it was horrible. You know, and we're going through camp and this, you know, just regular walking around the corner, you're almost out of breath. So as you get used to it, you know, your blood starts developing and building more red blood cells to carry more oxygen. But by the time camp was over with, and I was, you know, I got cut there and I left and went to Green Bay, but I was in the best shape of my life. I could run forever because my body was used to not having oxygen in it. And, you know, your body then turns around and, you know, now, you know, if you go play in Tampa Bay, you won't even get tired. That's how hard it is to breathe up there. So when you're a team going in, you know, the teams used to go up there 2 days early so your body get used to it. Now you got to go in there, suffer through it, play, and then get the heck out of there, man. Because you can't adjust to it. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do being that high up and playing a football game. You really cannot breathe up there. It's terrible.
It's funny. I was watching 60 Minutes last night with the people trekking to the top of Mount Everest, and they're talking about these people are in phenomenal shape, and they can't do it because it's a different animal. So, hey, listen, I told you it'd be quick. Barrett, I really appreciate you being on. We're going to come back next week, and I think the Buffalo Philadelphia game will be interesting to see how the Eagles play it.
Might be a Super Bowl preview.
Hopefully it could be, and hopefully we'll come out with a win. But Barrett, we appreciate you being on. Thank you. We really enjoy what you're doing there with Comcast, NBC Universal, and
thank you.
Take care of my buddy Jaws, will you? We're Jaws and I are getting old together, and but he still gives great commentary, and I'm glad to see him doing that. So
love the both of you, man. Love the both of you. You too, Mark.
Thank you. So for Mark Eckel, my guest Barrett Brooks, I'm Ken Dunek. Thanks for watching the Bird Brains with Ken and Mark, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Take care.